you. Thank you very much. I'm Mark Steele, camp comedian and renowned homosexual. I'd love to do Julian's act. As someone who, a lover of Radio 4 as I am, it's been an enormous pleasure meeting the person I'm going to introduce to you. Oh, I feel like a bit like stars in their eyes about it, because you know who it's going to be. But she's an absolute delight. She's been a delight to meet and to talk to, and she's going to be absolutely brilliant, I know. In fact, whenever you've been listening to Woman's Hour at any point in the last few years, you must be aware that throughout the interviews, and no matter how serious the subject, underneath there is a huge cauldron of bubbling stand-up mirth. and it's about to explode. Please give her the huge round of applause that she deserves, Jenni Murray.
I'm very relieved that I'm doing this for Radio 4 because it means I don't have to descend to the level of which I'm not entirely sure I approve, of using the F word to get a cheap laugh. So I shall not mention feminism throughout my set. The stool is because not very long ago I became a member of the hip-hop generation. Now, this means, because Radio 4 is on the lookout for younger listeners, that in future I shall introduce the programme, Yo homies, it's da bitches hour, innit? Now, my Charlie, my little one, I call him little, he's 6'4" and as broad as he's long, but there you go. He was very worried about me doing today, and he said, Mum, you have to be really careful. Don't offend all the men in the audience. Do not, whatever you do, talk about periods and pregnancy, or I suppose in your case, the menopause. What I think you should do is talk about cars. Well, what I know about cars, you could write on the back of a very, very small postage stamp. However, not very long ago, I did need a new car. So Charlie said, Mum, what you need is a Mitsubishi Evo 8. Get you out of anything. So I thought, fair enough. He knows what he's talking about. I should have been a little suspicious when I noticed that he was looking at a website called Petrolheads. And that he was muttering excitedly 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. However, I went along with his advice and we went and we got this car. And it's beautiful, and I drove it home. There's bucket seats, so my bum was a bit tight in it, but there you go. And we got home and he said, Mum, I never thought I would have my first ride in an Evo 8. Jeremy Clarkson's favourite car. Driven by a 60-year-old woman at an average speed of 11 miles per hour, listening to Crossing Continents on climate change. So I turned to him and said, tough son, I can afford the insurance. My favoured form of transport is actually the train, but there was a period when it was virgin on the ridiculous. And so I started flying from Manchester to London, London to Manchester. And I got on the plane one day, and it was in the old days, and I was carrying what is known as a ewer. It's a very old-fashioned tape recorder. Things are now digitised, and I am completely disenfranchised in my own profession because I can't do all that. Anyway, I was trying to load this very heavy tape recorder into the overhead stowage, and a very nice air hostess came up and said, can I give you a hand? And I said, that's very kind. She said, what is it? And I said, oh, it's a tape recorder. What do you use it for? She said, I said, oh, well, I work on the wireless. Oh, she said, whereabouts? I said, a woman's hour. She said, you will be very interested in our aeroplane. I said, really, why is that? She said, well, all our cabin staff are female. I said, well, that's pretty much par for the course. She said, no, there's more. Our chief engineer is a woman. Our co-pilot is a woman, and I can see all the blokes sitting around me clutching the arms of their seats in alarm. She said, and our pièce de résistance, our pilot is a woman. I said, that is amazing. Will you take me to the cockpit? She said, we don't call it that anymore. Thank you.